Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well today. In this video, we are going over the latest Star Citizen news, mainly ship related news from the last SCL from yesterday, as well as some updates on the tech preview and just general Star Citizen news. But before we do get into that, if you are enjoying the videos and want to stick around, feel free to subscribe. I do have channel memberships open if you wanted to go the extra mile, and I would love to have you in the community Discord. And if you'd like to join that, I will have a link for that down below. Without further ado, though, let's get into all the latest Star Citizen news. Now, getting it started, we are going to get rid of all the disappointing news, or at least the main disappointing news here. And that comes with four ships: the fourth Zeus variant, the Zeus ST, the Banu Merchantman, the G12, so the Cool Origin ground vehicles, and then the 600i rework. To put it bluntly, none of these are going to release anytime soon in the near future. So I would expect earliest for all four of these to be 2027, and that is unfortunately the earliest. So the only good news I really have in terms of those four ships is the fact that the Banu Merchantman is supposed to be getting people back on the ship later in 2026, so about a year from now. So not really great news there, but outside of that, there is some nice stuff in here. I just wanted to make sure I get the disappointing stuff out of the way. So I apologize if those ships are something you are excited for. Unfortunately, it just does not look like they are going to release anytime soon, unfortunately. Now, to get in some more positive news, the Apollos are releasing next month. So the Medivac and the Triage will be releasing with whatever the September patch is, most likely 4.3.1. Now, that being said, to get in some more negative news, one of the biggest selling points of the Apollos, the drones, are not going to be coming at release. And as a matter of fact, I can almost bet on the fact that they will probably never come to the Apollos. And I say that for a few reasons. So, in the SCL, John Cree basically said drones are kind of coming online for base building right now, and the Apollos will in fact have space for internal drones if they decide to do it in the future. But after reviewing drone gameplay for medical gameplay, they don't see it as a very good fit for the Apollos. And as a matter of fact, the only reason why I'm so kind of set on this is the fact that they are going to be releasing all of the Apollo modules for free for anyone that buys the Apollo. So if you bought the Apollo at all between when it was originally released and now, you will be getting those free modules, which is cool. But it really does sound like they're compensating for the fact that one of the biggest selling points of the Apollo is removed, and I honestly believe that it was removed permanently. So I know some want to hold up hope for that ship, and honestly, it was one of the most exciting things for me personally. But I'm just gonna say it: I don't think drones are ever going to come to the Apollos, unfortunately. Now, getting out of that roller coaster of emotions, we have news that the battle cruiser, one of the long-term stretch goals from like forever ago for Star Citizen, is in fact in concept. So it's nowhere near close to being done. I don't even expect it to release in 2026 or probably even 2027, but it is in fact in concept and should be, if they are correct, the last ever concept ship that is sold to the public. Now, that basically means that everything else that we ever see will be straight to flyable, just as it has been this whole year. So, like the Wolf, straight to flyable, the Meteor, straight to flyable, nothing released as a JPEG and then sold to us. So, I know that's good news for a lot of people, and hopefully that means that we won't have as many frustrating moments of just waiting for ships over and over and over again. So, good news is that the battle cruiser is in concept and will be the last sold concept to the public. Now, moving into some Ironclad news, we know that the command module was just added onto the progress tracker. That is a huge aspect of the Caterpillar and the Ironclad. And it kind of helps us kind of understand when the Ironclad could release if they wanted it to go alongside the command module tech. Now, that work is set to end around December and give or take like a month or so. So they have to like implement it into the Ironclad. I would say if they wanted to release the Ironclad with the command module tech, we're most likely looking at an early 2026 release for that ship. Now, that being said, as we all know, CIG likes to change their minds a lot. And if the Ironclad finishes in, let's say, October or November, and it does not look like Command Module Tech is going to really get into that ship anywhere in the near future, there is a good chance they just release it to the public. Now, with all that, in the air, I really don't know where the Ironclad is at. Honestly, it sounds like it's in gray box or maybe even getting into Lot Zero. But at the same time, they have not given us any real firm updates on that ship in a while, outside the fact that they've just been working on different aspects of it. So I would take this all with a grain of salt. Just know that the Ironclad is definitely being worked on right now pretty intensely, and the command module will hopefully release alongside that and for the Caterpillar. Now, to just to get into a couple quick things here for PDCs, we know that PDCs are actually going to be sold in in-game shops around the IAE time, and then they basically also said that they're also going to have a new ship with a new kind of PDC coming. I think that's referring to the Perseus, but at this point, I don't even know. When it comes to medical beacons, they want to get that online, and there should be updates to medical beacons or medical gameplay soon. I actually assume that might be towards CitizenCon, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that's probably going to be something they talk about there. The Carrick cargo pods are, they know that they want to get it so that they actually drop down and you can put cargo in them. But as for literally everything we talk about when it comes to Star Citizen, it just takes a lot of time. And that's not really something they have time to do at the moment. And then they also are going to be updating the Raylan cargo grid. So it's like it looks really cool right now, but it's absolutely not optimal for the type of game that we have currently and the type of SCU boxes we have. So that will be updated. They will be trying to make it where it is somewhat still in the Gattac style. So it doesn't look too out of place or anything like that. No, those are just kind of a couple quick things here and there. I wanted to finish this off with a few more additions from the SCL. I didn't get into everything because I didn't think it was all worth talking about. But to start this off, we have ship to ship docking. This is something I certainly would love to hear about. And the good news is that this is planned. And it makes sense because they've been using these small round docking collars in a lot of different ships so that in the future, whenever we are able to do this, they're able to just use those metrics rather than creating a whole new metric and then applying that to all the other ships. So I think good news is that it's still happening, but bad news, like literally most of the things we talk about here, it is just going to take a lot of time. And that's something we're not going to see probably in the near future. Now, something that we might see a little bit sooner is rearm, repair, refuel for capital ships. This is something just like when you're in a hangar, you open up your mobi glass and you're able to rearm, refuel, do all those things. This will make use of resources that are on the cargo grid of the parent ship. So it's something you will have to prepare for, but it will be something they support in the future. And hopefully, after that, once that is down, they can kind of get in with like the actual physical fuel hoses and all that crap that looks really cool and is immersive. But for a starter, it is going to be releasing for things like the Idris and the Polaris, just not quite yet. It sounds like they want to have this for next year for like a specific patch or like event of some sort, but it's definitely not something that's releasing in the too near future. Now, moving into the last thing I wanted to discuss for the SCL, basically someone asked, hey, why can't I bed log in my friend's ship? And I think John Crew basically just said it was bug related, but the main thing he really talked about in this answer was they want to make it where you can log out wherever, whenever, anywhere in the verse, with or without a bed. Now, I actually think I like this change a lot. And one of the big things here that they talked about was gaining benefits from actually bed logging in a bed. And then, of course, not getting those benefits if you log out just anywhere in the verse. Of course, we don't know what those benefits are yet, so they could suck. But I really do hope that they are benefits that make it worthwhile to log out in a bed, but not, completely crappy if you don't. I think the reason why I do like this is that for ships like the Prowler Utility and the Guardian MX, those ships don't have beds on them, and they're clearly not designed for you to be living out of them. But at the same time, if you're in a pinch and you have to leave in real life and just log out, or if you crash land, or it's just for some odd reason you are in that ship and you really can't get to a hab or hangar or just a bed in general, you aren't completely screwed. One of the worst feelings ever is having to log out, you don't have a bed, and then you're just kind of forced back to your hab like a billion kilometers away. So I do think this is going to be a nice solution to that without completely destroying immersion or anything like that. And it also still allows for some class identification. So for those long distance ships like the Odyssey or just generally any ship that's built for long distance, they will have beds and they will be kind of designed for you to live out of them. And then, of course, for ships like the Prowler Utility and the Guardian, not so much. And I think that's a good balance between immersion, but also just playability. Now, that is it for all the SCL news. I appreciate you going through all of that with me. It's not all of the SCL news, but it really was mainly the important stuff to me personally. Now, I'll say this, I was going to move immediately into the Evocati tech preview that was happening today, but updated about 3 minutes ago, we know that that is no longer happening today. So tech preview has been canceled for Friday. We have no update as to when it might happen next. Hopefully next week, because at this point, I think they've been trying to do it for like a week and a half, 2 weeks now, which has clearly not happened yet. But hopefully when we do get that Evocati tech preview, we can either get some data mine information or just generally some nice information from the build itself. It doesn't sound like the most exciting tech preview in the world, but I'm sure there are some changes that are worth noting. So I am excited for that at the very least. I know this is a bit of a roller coaster of a video in terms of positive news and negative news, but I do appreciate you sticking around to the end. That is going to do it for this video. If you do enjoy it, feel free to like and subscribe. And feel free to let me know down below what you feel about all this SCL news. I know with the Apollos and the drones and everything, there's a lot of probably thoughts going on. So feel free to let me know down below. I would very much appreciate that. Outside of that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.